Let me tell you about one of the food industry's least transparent practices, something that's perfectly legal, but that manufacturers rarely advertise to consumers. It's called rework, and it involves taking products that failed quality checks, were returned from stores, or are approaching expiration, and reprocessing them into new products. Your food today might literally be yesterday's waste, and you'd never know. The regulatory framework around rework is surprisingly permissive. In most jurisdictions, there are rules about how rework can be done, safety testing requirements, limits on how many times material can be reprocessed, but the labeling requirements are minimal to non-existent. Unless you work in the industry, you probably don't know which products commonly contain rework or in what proportions. Let's talk about which industries use rework most heavily. Baked goods are common candidates. Day-old bread gets ground up and added to new dough, or turned into breadcrumbs, or incorporated into other bakery products. Dairy products that are approaching code dates get reprocessed. Processed meats, sausages, hot dogs, nuggets often incorporate rework meat. Canned foods that had labeling errors or minor can damage get opened, reprocessed, and recanned. From a food safety standpoint, rework isn't inherently dangerous if done properly. The material goes through cooking or other treatment that should kill pathogens. Safety testing happens, or at least it's supposed to. But there are several concerns that should bother consumers. First is quality degradation. Every processing cycle degrades quality. Proteins denature, vitamins break down, textures change, oxidation occurs. Food that's been through multiple processing cycles is nutritionally and organically inferior to food that's been processed once. Second is contamination risk. Every time food goes through equipment, there's opportunity for contamination. Rework, by definition, has been exposed to more handling, more storage time, more opportunity for problems. Third, and this one really bothers me, is the dishonesty. Consumers purchasing a product have no idea whether they're getting freshly processed food from quality ingredients or rework from materials that couldn't be sold the first time. The price is the same. The label looks the same. The brand is the same. But what's actually in the package could be very different. There are documented cases where rework contributed to contamination outbreaks. Material that was borderline acceptable when first processed, sitting around waiting to be reworked, accumulating bacterial growth, then getting reprocessed without adequate safety treatment. The investigation traces back through the production records and finds rework in the chain. But by then, people are already sick. How can consumers identify potential rework products? It's difficult, but there are clues. Inconsistent texture in processed meats might indicate rework. Multiple preservatives on the ingredient list suggest extended processing that could include rework. Suspiciously cheap prices for name brands might indicate products made largely from rework. Some small producers will actually advertise that they don't use rework, which tells you that larger competitors do. The ethics here are interesting. From a food waste perspective, rework is actually positive. It prevents edible food from going to waste. In a world with significant hunger and environmental concerns about food waste, reusing safe foods seems responsible. But there's a transparency question. Shouldn't consumers know they're buying reprocessed material? Shouldn't there be price differentiation between fresh-made and rework products? I suspect most people, if asked directly, would say they don't want to eat rework. They want fresh products made from quality ingredients. But the industry argues that full transparency would hurt sales even when rework is perfectly safe, creating waste and limiting options. There's probably truth to this. Consumer psychology isn't always rational. People reject safe food based on perceptions rather than actual risk. What's needed is honest cost-benefit analysis. If rework reduces food waste while maintaining safety, perhaps it should be embraced rather than hidden. But that requires transparency. Label products clearly. Let consumers choose. Price rework products lower to reflect their nature. Create a market where both fresh and rework products can coexist honestly. Until that happens, consumers are stuck playing detective, trying to guess which products contain rework based on incomplete information and suspicious patterns. It's another example of how lack of transparency in food production undermines consumer autonomy and trust.